So they receive a price according to the demand function of P subscript S is equal A1 minus 1/3 of Q. And while paying P subscript B is equal to A2 minus 1/6 Q. This is per unit for the drink. For the transportation cost is gamma per case of the energy drink. And there's an assumption, and the assumption is that assume that A1, A2, and gamma are all positive. By positive, we means that all of them are greater than 0. So for part A, if the question is it asking to express the firm's profit as a function of cases sold. So here's the profit maximization. Let's talk about for a minute about profit maximization. So we assume that firms are in a business to make as much money as possible. They strive to maximize their profit. This assumption has its rationale in the idea of natural selection. But if a firm is not maximizing a profit, its competitors who do would eventually drive it out of the business by employing more efficient and more profitable methods of production. So even if the firm is monopoly, however, it would most probably want to maximize profit. And after all, firms are owned by people from whom we assume more is always better. Therefore, more firms' profit would mean more income or more wealth for its owner, the person who owns it, which makes them happier. Therefore, the profit maximization seems a reasonable assumption about firms' behavior. The firm's maximization profit, which is revenue minus cost, by choosing the most efficient way to produce, by choosing the optimal amount of the factors of production to employ, and the firm chooses those optimal amount considering the available technology embodied in the production function, which gives the relationship between the amount of inputs put into the production and the maximum possible amount of output that can be produced. So for the first part, A, we can write as we say that we have PS is equal A minus 1/3 Q, and paying a price of B is equal A2 minus 1/6 Q. So how can we write this one? So we say is equal R minus C, revenue minus cost. What's the revenue? The revenue is P, S, and Q. And what is the cost? Is P, B of Q, and that's minus gamma Q. So let's sub in. So that's A1Q minus 1/3 Q square minus A2, and that's time Q, plus 1 over 6 Q square minus gamma Q. So that's Q as well. Therefore, it can be written as A1Q minus A2Q minus 1 over 6 Q square minus gamma Q. So this is your answer for first part. For part B, it is asking if assume, for part B of the question is asking, assume that A1 minus A2 minus gamma is greater than 0. So it's asking find the number of cases sold that minimize profit. That minimize profit. So let's go to the next page. So now take the derivative of the functions we derive in A with respect to Q. So we had a function which was pi, we derive A1Q minus A2Q minus 1 over 6 Q square minus gamma Q. Now take the derivative for part B, take the derivative of pi with respect to Q. And this will be A1 minus A2. And that will be 2 over 6, which is 3. So that will be minus 2 over 6 Q minus gamma. And therefore, d pi over dq, that's equal A1 minus A2. So minus gamma minus 3Q. And you can say that equal to 0. And by solving, you can put 1 over 3Q. So that's 1 over 3Q. Sorry, that's 1 over 3Q because 1 over, yeah. So that's 1 over 3Q. And that is equal to A1 minus A2 minus alpha. And therefore, Q is equal to 3 times A1 minus A2 minus gamma. So, therefore, your answer is Q is equal to 3 A1 minus A2 minus gamma. So that minimizes the profit. If you sell this quantity of cases, then the funds won't make any money on it. And for part C, the question is asking if, suppose that the France government, so let's say the France government imposes a tax on those energy drink exports of tau per each case. So now I was asking to rewrite So the firm's profit function and optimal Q. Okay, so we had a profit which is equal to A1Q minus A2Q minus gamma Q. That's the tax tau Q minus 1/6 Q squared. So now take the derivative of this with respect to Q. So the derivative of profit function with respect to Q, and that will be A1 minus A2, because derivative of A1 times Q is A1, and so is for A2 times Q is 1. And here is minus gamma, and tau is only tau, and this will be 1/3 Q. So we set this equal to 0, so that's Q. Again, 1/3 Q is equal to A1 minus A2 minus gamma minus tau, and therefore Q is equal to 3, because bringing this one here, that's 3 times A1 minus A2 minus gamma minus tau. So I'm not going step by step, just because I know when you put this one, that will be 3 times this when you solve for Q. So I'm not going like step by step. I'm just assuming that you probably know this much. So that's your answer. The optimal for Q in this case. So for part D, it says, imagine that the French government only cares, they only cares about a tax revenue. So the tax revenue is equal to tau times Q, and that is equal to tau times 3 times A1 minus A2 minus gamma minus tau. So let's do the bracket, because how we can know how the bracket works, because we count that the number of brackets on the left and the right is the same. So we have 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So our tax, that is equal to, we have 3 tau, then we have A1 minus A2 minus gamma minus tau. And again, take the derivative of R of tax divided by d of tau with respect to tau, and that will be equal to 3, because the derivative of 3 tau is only 3, A1 minus A2 minus gamma minus tau, plus 3 tau minus 1, that is equal to 0. You know, because the derivative of minus tau here is minus 1. So don't forget, because this one minus little sign could make a big difference in your answer. So therefore, we do some simplification, minus A2 minus gamma minus 2 tau, because if you do this one, then that would be 2 tau, and that is equal to 0. Let's do some further simplification. A minus A2 minus gamma minus 2 tau, that is equal to 0. And bring the tau on the other side. So that is A1 minus A2 minus gamma is equal to 2 tau. And tau is equal to take A1 minus A2 minus gamma over 2. So the question was that imagine the French government only cares about the tax revenue. So what is the optimal tau? So the optimal tau for French government is that A minus A2 minus gamma of alpha. So that's your answer. And I hope if you have any other math question, please write it in the comment section and I'll try to do it. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Again, thank you and take care.